I want to read you a scripture. This is from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 19. Now Jesus came to Jericho and intended to pass through the town. A man there named Zacchaeus, who was a chief tax collector and also a wealthy man, was seeking to see who Jesus was. But he could not see him because of the crowd, for he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree in order to see Jesus, who was about to pass that way. When he reached the place, Jesus looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down quickly, for today I must stay at your house." And he came down quickly and received him with joy. When they all saw this, they began to grumble, saying, "He has gone to stay at the house of a sinner." But Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Behold, half of my possessions, Lord, I should give to the poor, and if I have extorted anything from anyone, I shall repay it 4 times over." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a descendant of Abraham. For the Son of Man has come to seek and save what was lost." The word of the Lord. You can't take the Catholic out of a Catholic. I want to talk about a guy named Zacchaeus. You can call him Zach for short. Jesus is traveling through this town. There's a lot of people there. And there's this one guy who's really curious. So curious that he's willing to climb a tree. Imagine Zach Galifianakis in a tree. That's what I think of when I hear this story of Zacchaeus. I think of Zach Galifianakis just awkwardly hung up in a tree, trying to act like camouflage, but he can't. It's like the tree's almost going to break. This is a guy who's completely despised. Why is he despised? Imagine in your neighborhood, there is a guy who worked for the city and he collected taxes. And you know that he would raise the taxes just to collect a little bit extra that he would put in his pocket. Effectively, he would lie to your face, take more money, because he was collecting taxes for the Romans. But he would actually take some of it and put it on the side. I don't know, maybe he's got a really nice car with a set of dubs on it or something. You'd kind of hate him. You'd be like, dude, you're a total slime bucket. On top of it, he's one of you because you're basically occupied by a foreign country. That's what it was for the Israelites. They were occupied by the Romans. Zacchaeus is a tax collector, but he's one of you. But he's a total scumbag. He's Zach Galifianakis on the worst day. Jesus shows up. He's walking through the town. There's a ton of people there. Everyone's trying to hear what he's going to say. And there's Zach Galifianakis hung up in a tree looking down. Jesus had the attention of everybody there. And who's the one person that he turns around and points at? Zacchaeus. "Hey, you, dude with the funny beard in the tree. I'm going to have dinner at your house. I choose you." Imagine the most awkward, despised person in your high school. And imagine somebody coming there who's literally captured the hearts and minds of everybody. And he shows up and he says to that person, "I choose you. I choose you." We tend to lose the impact of the things that Jesus does in the scriptures. But what Jesus is doing isn't just illustrating a point in the moment. He's illustrating something about the very heart and character and nature of God. That the people in our society that are the most marginalized sometimes, the most ill looked at, the most forgotten, the most poor, and sometimes even the most hated and despised by his own believers, those are the people that God will continually say, "I choose you. I choose you." It's an amazing revolutionary thought. I don't know how many of us have experienced the pain of middle school intramurals. If you have, raise your hand. Anybody? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? When I was in the 7th grade, I'm going to tell you this story to illustrate a point, okay? When I was in the 7th grade, I stunk out a friend of mine's birthday party because I got constipated the day before from a wine and cheese party at my parents' house. It's pretty painful. I've never talked about it in public before this conference, so you have to bear with me. My parents had a wine and cheese. I hung out. I thought I was immune to the effects of large quantities of cheese. I was wrong. The next day, I'm at the hospital with a doctor who's a really nice guy, but he was from Pakistan, and I couldn't really understand him because I'm from Newfoundland, and everybody there is pretty much Irish. And this guy's talking back and forth with my dad, and he said a word that I didn't know what the word meant, but now I do, and it strikes fear into the hearts of a young man. If a doctor says the word enema, run. Don't stay. Figure something else out. I don't know. But I didn't run. I held it as long as I could, and then anyways, I get home. That night, there's a massive party with my middle school, and all the popular kids are gonna be there. And I'm like, I gotta go. I'm new, it's only my 2nd year at this school. I still am struggling to fit in, and I got invited. Like, it was so big that I got an invitation. And so I gotta go. And my parents are like, are you sure that's the sanest decision you could possibly make? You're kind of in a volatile state. I was like, no, I gotta go. So I went. I should have listened to my parents, but I didn't. I should have listened to my father. I should have listened to my mother, but I didn't. I'm at the party. We're hanging out. The party's like in a living room. It's like, I don't know, 10 by 10 feet. It's a small living room, okay? It's not very big. There's a bathroom. It's just a door. There's just a doorway and then a toilet. There's nothing else separating the toilet from the room. I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. My friend's like, start saying, well, there's a bathroom upstairs, but there's one right, and actually, he said, there's one right there, and as I was running in the door, he said, but there's one upstairs, far away from everybody else. Should have went to that one. His mom had to use a whole bottle of Polo cologne, okay? That's all I have to say. It was horrible. It was really bad. And for the next 6 weeks, every day, I went to school and got made fun of from the first period until the last period of the day. And then we started intramurals, and it was kickball. And every day, or twice a week, we'd line up during intramural time, and everyone's picking teams, and it's like, I'm always the last guy at the end. It's like, I'll take Maher. And that happened week after week after week, and finally we got to the very final game. It was my homeroom against another homeroom. Bottom of the 9th, bases loaded, 2 outs, boom, kick the grand slam, totally redeem myself. I'd drop the mic right now if I could, but I can't because it's not mine. Thank you. You can clap. Here's the element of that story is that most people don't really get to redeem themselves that way. And the moral of the story, why I want to share that story is not that I somehow got redeemed. It was that for 6 weeks, I experienced more the experience of what it feels to be rejected than to be chosen. And I submit to you that I think that most people in this room, when you hear the word chosen, most of you in your life have experienced more rejection than being chosen. You've experienced rejection from your friends. You've experienced rejection in your family, from your parents, who don't mean to. Sometimes they work really hard and they ignored you when you were a kid and they're still ignoring you now. Some of you have friends. You have real heart issues happening and your friends are totally oblivious because you feel rejected. But see, that's the good news of what I'm trying to share with you tonight that was illustrated in this story about Zacchaeus, is that God chooses you. Part of the problem is the word choice. We get confused about the word choice. We somehow think God chooses us like he's choosing a kickball team, and he's like, well, I'll take that guy. I need somebody with weird brown hair and a goofy left foot, so I'll take him. That's not what the word choice in its root word actually meant to savor or to taste or to delight in. So when you hear in the scriptures in the Old Testament, when God says, I choose, it was not you who chose me, no, I choose you. What he's saying is I absolutely delight in you. It's not a labor for me to choose you. It's not like I'm sitting around for an eternity going, well, am I going to choose Brenda, or am I going to choose Sally, or am I going to choose Bobby, or am I going to choose Mike? It's not like that at all. It's to the whole human race. When God made us in his image and likeness, he said, I delight in you. I love you. There's not a thing that you could do that could change how much I delight in you. When Jesus says to Zacchaeus, I choose you, it's not like he's just saying, hey man, I'm looking for a guy who looks like Zach Galifianakis and I want to stay at his house, have dinner, hang out. Or I'm looking for somebody to make a controversial statement. What Jesus is trying to illustrate is that God has already chosen us. And God's already chosen us at the cross. And you'll hear more about that this weekend. God's already made his choice. He chooses you. You've been chosen. In all your messiness, in all your eccentricities, good stuff and the bad, he chooses it all. I used to think I'd know what it was like to really experience the heart of God the Father. And then I had kids. I have a son who's 2 and I have a daughter. She's on the way. She'll be here in October. And I want to show you a picture of my son Connor. This is at the 4th of July. We had a big party. And he was there with his kids. And my guitar player, Hank, he turned around and literally that was the face he was making. So he just pulled out his phone and went, click. Like, I like to think that that's what God sees when he says, I choose you. Can we put that up one more time? Yeah. That's what God sees when he says, when he says, I choose you, I delight in you. I delight in all the really awkward parts about you. In all the goofy parts. Because I delight in my son. I guess tonight they were praying before dinner. My wife's in Buffalo right now with her family. And they were praying. And he literally prays now. Like he's 2 years old. And I say, you want to pray? And he goes. And then they're like, and we're grateful for food. And we're grateful. Thank you for the hands that made the food. And then all of a sudden he yelled out, pizza! But it's when he does that, when he participates in his faith already, like a child, I delight in it. He doesn't have to do anything to earn that. He just has it. Like that's what I wanted to share with you tonight, is that this is not about you come to this weekend to like earn a badge like the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts, and somehow if you earn enough, then God's going to start being on your team. He delights in you. And for some of us, the breakthrough is going to be coming in admitting that we actually need God. Because I think a lot of us would say that we definitely deep down feel inside a need to feel chosen. I think everybody in this room tonight feels a need to be accepted, to be loved, to be affirmed. But where are you going for it? Where are you going to feel chosen? So I want to close our time by praying a song together. And when I wrote this, I wasn't thinking about being a dad. And then I became a dad. And I got to this chorus that said, Lord, I need you every hour, I need you. And when you're literally getting up every hour to feed your child, the words take on new meaning. And I got so convicted because I realized that my son had no problem admitting to his father that he needed him. That he needed him to hold him, to love him, to pay attention to him. So maybe as I pray this song, maybe we can start to just take that desire to want to be chosen, and we can try to start applying it to the right person in the right place.